Imagine this. A teenage girl disappears after meeting her boyfriend, and days later her body is found inside a suitcase. Not in a movie, not in a horror story, in real life. And now, Netflix just brought the whole case back from the shadows. Yeah, buckle up.
Welcome back to the channel, where the news isn't boring and true stories hit like plot twists. Today, we're diving into a case that shook Turkey so hard, people are still asking questions 15 years later. Because Netflix just dropped a brand new documentary revisiting the Münevver Karabulut femicide case, and it's reopening wounds, fears, and theories that never truly healed. And trust me, this isn't just another crime story. This one comes with power, privilege, mystery, and a twist even Netflix couldn't script. So let's rewind to 2009. Istanbul. Münevver Karabulut, a bright 17-year-old student with big dreams, goes out to meet her boyfriend, Cem Garipoğlu. Normal day, normal plan, except she never returns. 2 days later, a sanitation worker makes a discovery that would freeze the country in place. A suitcase. In the trash, and inside, Münevver's body. Her head was found separately in a garbage container nearby. The entire nation went silent. This wasn't just a crime, it became a national trauma. Now here's where things get messy. Cem Garipoğlu wasn't just any teenager. He came from a wealthy, influential family, the kind that doesn't just have lawyers, they basically collect them. Think of it like this. Most people panic when the police knock on their door. This family, they probably offered them coffee. For 197 days, Cem vanished. Not lost your phone vanished, more like Batman disappearing into the night vanished. Rumors spread. People protested. Media exploded. And the big question hanging in the air, was he hiding or being hidden? Eventually, almost 7 months later, Cem turns himself in. But here's the twist. He arrives with a prepared apology letter. Not handwritten, not emotional, typed, like an office memo. People were furious. The trial went public. The country watched every second. Cem was sentenced to 24 years in prison, but the story didn't end there. Because in 2014, he was found dead in his cell. Official cause? Suicide. But not everyone bought it. Some said the timing was too convenient. Others claimed he never died at all. Yeah, this case went from tragedy to conspiracy fueling wildfire. And just when everyone thought it was finally over, Netflix stepped in. And suddenly, the past isn't just resurfacing, it's boiling. So what new questions is the documentary raising? Why is this case becoming urgent again? And what shocking detail did investigators recently uncover? Stick around, because the real plot twist is still coming. Fast forward to 2025. Just when the country finally started breathing again, Netflix walks in like, hey, remember that case? The new documentary dives straight into the wounds. Not just what happened to Münevver, but why the whole system seemed to fall apart around her. Survivors speak. Experts analyze. Journalists connect dots that were ignored for years. And the moment it released, boom, social media erupted. Hashtags, outrage, people rewatching old clips like detectives with better Wi-Fi. Even teenagers who weren't alive in 2009 are now asking, how did this even happen? For Münevver's family, this wasn't entertainment.
Her mother, Nagihan Karabulut, has spent 15 years demanding answers and refusing to let her daughter become a headline that fades. She says the case wasn't just a crime, it was a failure. Investigations stalled, evidence went missing. People who should have talked didn't. And here's the part that hits hardest. Nagihan believes the documentary is reopening the case, not because time heals, but because time exposes. Every year, more contradictions surface. Every interview adds another puzzle piece. And now, the world is...
Recently, reports surfaced suggesting that Münevver's family requested a new forensic examination. Yes, years after the case closed. Why? Because some experts believe there are unanswered medical details in the original autopsy. The kind of details that could change everything we thought we knew. No one is claiming a conspiracy outright, but when a case is this emotional, even a whisper feels like a thunderstorm. And people online are already asking, if Cem died in prison, how come so many things still don't add up? One user joked, at this point, even Sherlock would need backup. Funny, but also a little too real. Here's the bigger picture, and the reason this documentary matters today.
Turkey has been facing a rising wave of femicides, women harmed by partners, ex-partners, or men they trusted. Münevver's case became a symbol, not because she wanted to be, but because the country needed her story to mean something. Back then, thousands marched with her name. Today, new generations are marching again. Different year, same fight. The documentary isn't just retelling a tragedy, it's reminding the world. If justice has an expiration date, no one is safe. And that line hit viewers like a punch. One comment said, "No crime should outlive the truth." Hard to argue with that. But here's where things get even more intense. A new petition is gaining traction. The documentary hints at unseen evidence, and Cem's prison death is raising fresh speculation. So the question now isn't just what happened, it's what happens next. Because this story may not be over, not by a long shot. The moment the documentary hit screens, Turkey didn't just watch, it reacted. News channels restarted coverage. Old reporters resurfaced interviews like they were fresh files. Even talk shows, usually busy arguing about soccer, suddenly had one topic: Münevver. But here's the wild part. People who once disagreed now seem to be on the same page. Parents, students, celebrities, activists, everyone asking the same three-word question. How was this possible? Because the more the documentary lays out, the more the past starts looking like a cracked mirror. Not broken enough to ignore, broken enough to cut. Here's something the article highlights. A new petition has surged online, calling for the case to be re-examined. Not just symbolically, legally. Thousands of signatures, more every hour. People aren't satisfied with case closed anymore. They want transparency. They want accountability. They want closure that actually closes. And the movement has a message. If justice was rushed, let the truth take its time. One college student tweeted, "We can't change what happened, but we can change what happens next." And that line spread like wildfire, because it wasn't just emotional, it was a challenge. Now, let's talk about Netflix for a second. We all love the platform for turning us into couch detectives who suddenly think we can solve crime with a blanket and a snack. But this documentary, different energy. It didn't just tell a shocking story, it forced a country to look in the mirror. Authorities are being asked for updates, politicians are being questioned, legal experts are back on air explaining old mistakes with new clarity. Some critics say the documentary is reopening wounds. Others say those wounds never healed in the first place. And honestly, both might be true.
Now, let's step into the most controversial part. Remember, Cem Garipoğlu was found dead in prison in 2014. Official cause, suicide. Case closed, right? Well, not exactly. The documentary didn't accuse anyone, but it reminded the world that Cem's death raised a lot of eyebrows. There were inconsistencies, unanswered questions, rumors that refused to die. Some people believe he couldn't handle guilt. Others think he took the easy way out. And then there's the third group,
The ones who ask, what if he didn't die at all? Now, no evidence supports that theory, but when a case is this emotional, logic and fear don't always travel together. One viewer commented, Turkish true crime isn't a genre. It's a roller coaster with no seatbelt. Honestly, not wrong. This isn't just about one case. It's about systems, safety, and the idea that justice shouldn't depend on who you are or who your family knows. Münevver became more than a victim. She became a turning point. Schools used her story in awareness programs. Laws were debated. People started speaking up, not in whispers, but out loud. Because when silence protects danger, talking becomes survival. And that message hits differently in 2025. So here's where we're heading next. The documentary's biggest emotional moment, the reaction from the Garipoğlu family, and how this case is changing conversations worldwide. Plus, we're getting closer to your dramatic outro. Get ready. The most powerful part is still ahead.
Every documentary has that scene, the one nobody forgets. In this one, it wasn't the crime scene or the courtroom or the headlines. It was Münevver's mother, sitting in front of the camera, holding her daughter's photograph. No dramatic music, no special effects. Just a mother who refused to disappear the way her daughter was taken. She says one sentence that stopped viewers cold.
They took her life once. I will not let them erase it twice.
No scriptwriter on earth could have written something more powerful. And suddenly, this wasn't history. It was personal. So what about the Garipoğlu family? According to the article, they did not participate in the documentary. No interviews, no statements, no appearances. Just silence. Some say it's respect. Some say it's avoidance. Others say silence is its own message. But here's the thing. Even without their voices, their presence hangs over the story like a shadow you can't shake. Their wealth, their influence, their name. It all raises a question nobody wants to ask out loud. If Cem wasn't from a powerful family, would this case have unfolded differently? And that question is louder than any interview. After the documentary launched, the conversation didn't stay in Turkey. International viewers started reacting. True crime fans, women's rights groups, journalists, parents. Suddenly, the case became a global talking point. Because the story isn't just Turkish, it's universal. A girl trusted someone she should have been safe with. A system struggled to protect her, and a family fought for the truth. And people everywhere realized this isn't a story from the past. It's a pattern from the present. One viewer from the UK posted, "Different country, same problem. When does it end?" When a documentary sparks that kind of response, it stops being content. It becomes a mirror. Here's something powerful. Most of the young people reacting today were kids, or not even born when the case happened. But they're the ones driving the conversation now, posting videos, sharing clips, asking questions older generations stopped asking. One teenager said on TikTok, "We're not scared of the truth. We're scared of what happens when nobody asks for it." And that line right there might be the entire point. Because sometimes the next chapter of justice is written by people who never saw the first one. So where are we now? The documentary is trending. Discussions are rising. A petition is growing. New forensic requests are being reviewed. And public pressure is stronger than ever. No one knows whether the case will reopen. No one knows if new answers will come. But one thing is clear. This story is not fading. Not anymore.
So here's the question we're all left with. If the truth takes 15 years to surface, What else is still waiting underneath? Because this case didn't end in 2009, it didn't end in 2014, and it might not be over in 2025. Stay curious, stay aware. And if you want the next chapter, hit subscribe, because tomorrow we're diving into another story that seemed closed until someone looked closer. See you then.